Willie D Live.
What's up, family? Cassie wants Diddy to pay big time for his crimes, and she's letting the judge in the case know she's permanently scarred by Diddy's physical abuse and horrifying sex acts that has led to thoughts of suicide. Check out, fam. Dear Judge Subramanian, I have been in a cycle of thought and then overthought writing this letter to you. If there's one thing I have learned from this experience, is that victims and survivors will never be safe. Although I can hope for justice and accountability, I have come to not trust anything. I hope that your decision considers the truth at hand that the jury failed to see. For 4 days in May, while 9 months pregnant with my son, I testified in front of a packed courtroom about the most traumatic and horrifying chapter in my life. I testified that from age 19, Sean Combs used violence, threats, substances, and control over my career to trap me in over a decade of abuse. He groomed me into performing repeated sex acts with hired male sex workers during multi-day freak-offs, which occurred nearly weekly. I was forced into lingerie and heels, told exactly how to look, and plied with drugs and alcohol so he could control me like a puppet. These events were degrading and disgusting, leaving me with infections, illnesses, and days of physical and emotional exhaustion before he demanded it all again. Sex acts became my full-time job, used as the only way to stay in his good graces. I testified that I learned to read Sean Combs' signals, knowing that when he spoke of freak-offs, he was demanding them, and that refusing meant punishment, losing my car, my phone, or worse. He controlled every part of my livelihood and threatened to destroy my reputation by leaking sex tapes, a threat he repeated often. His power over me eroded my independence and sense of self until I felt I had no choice but to submit. When he believed I had wronged him or was not sufficiently responsive, he also threatened people around me and those close to me. When he believed I had wronged him or was not sufficiently responsive, he also threatened people around me and those close to me, including my family. I regularly worried that displeasing him meant putting my family and friends' safety at risk. I testified how beyond these threats, Sean Combs frequently used violence to get his way. Over the nearly 11 years we were together, Sean Combs would hit me, punch me, stomp on my face, pull my hair, and throw my body to the ground and against the wall. The jury saw pictures of bruises on my back from Combs kicking me and saw the deep gash over my eye he caused when he slammed me into a bed frame. The entire courtroom watched actual footage of Combs kicking and beating me as I tried to run away from a freak-off in 2016. People watched this footage dozens of times, seeing my body thrown to the ground, my hands over my head, curled in a fetal position to shield me from the worst blows. This physical violence caused bruises that makeup artists paid by Sean Combs would cover up, as well as permanent scars all over my body. During my time with Combs, I was in constant state of hypervigilance, as I was always anticipating demands for sex or otherwise fearing retribution for any perceived slight. My descent into substance abuse was directly correlated with his increased control over my body, my money, my freedom, and my free will. I used those drugs to push through the horrifying sex acts he demanded and to numb myself to the physical pain and emotional turmoil I was constantly in. While the defense attorneys at trial suggested that my time with Combs was akin to a great modern love story, nothing could be further from the truth. Nothing about this story is great, modern, or loving. This was a horrific decade of my life, stained by abuse, violence, forced sex, and degradation. I spent the last 7 years of my life slowly rebuilding myself, physically getting clean from the drug abuse Sean Combs forced and encouraged, and mentally understanding how to live with a seemingly insurmountable level of trauma. The horrors I endured drove me to have thoughts of suicide, ones I almost followed through on, if not for my family's intervention and urging that I seek professional care. I have been to rehab and have taken part in dozens of types of therapy modalities to confront, compartmentalize, and cope with the horrific memories of sexual and emotional abuse I endured for nearly 10 years. While what he did to me is always present, I am slowly learning how to live my life free of the fear and horrors I endured, and in doing so, am fully devoted to my husband and my children. I still have nightmares and flashbacks on a regular, everyday basis and continue to require physical care to cope with my past. My worries that Sean Combs or his associates will come after me and my family is my reality. I have, in fact, moved my family out of the New York area and am keeping as private and quiet as I possibly can because I am so scared that if he walks free, his first actions will be swift retribution towards me and others who spoke up about his abuse at trial. As much progress as I have made in recovering from his abuse, I remain very much afraid of what he is capable of and the malice he undoubtedly harbors toward me for having the bravery to tell the truth. His defense attorneys claim he is a changed man and he wants to mentor abusers. I know firsthand what real mentorship means, and this disgusts me. He is not being truthful. I know that who he was to me, the manipulator, the aggressor, the abuser, the trafficker, is who he is as a human. He has no interest in changing or becoming better. He will always be the same cruel, power-hungry, manipulative man that he is. When I came out with my allegations in my civil case, he flatly denied them again and again. It was only after actual video footage corroborated the exact words in my civil complaint that he issued an insincere apology on the internet. Thanks to the footage and my testimony, this is also something he will forever be associated with. For over a decade, Sean Combs made me feel powerless and unimportant. But my experience was real, horrific, and deserves to be considered. While the jury did not seem to understand or believe that I engaged in freak-offs because of the force and coercion the defendant used against me, I know that is the truth, and his sentence should reflect the reality of the evidence and my lived experience as a victim. Reliving in detail the events and truths described throughout the trial and this letter causes me tremendous emotional pain. I am trying with all that I am to move on. I hope that your sentencing decision reflects the strength it took for victims of Sean Combs to come forward. I hope that your decision considers the many lives that Sean Combs has upended with his abuse and control. I thank you for your time and attention. I don't know, fam, but it seems like to me, Cassie Ventura is doing just fine with that 20-some million. She says she's trying to move on. Okay, she ran Diddy through the system. And she got the conviction, she got the embarrassment form and all of that kind of stuff. She had to go out there and get on the stand and tell all her business. She married. She went and got the money. She got all that. And she moved on. But she's still writing letters to possibly get him even more time. Much of the letter that she wrote was about the abuse that she endured. which Diddy is not on trial for. So if the judge was actually doing his job, he would basically ball that letter up and throw it out, because that's not what Diddy was convicted for. He was not convicted for domestic violence, although domestic violence is a serious charge. And quite frankly, I wouldn't have been mad if they had charged him with domestic violence and hit him up, however they gonna hit him up. Because I'm not with that. I'm not. I don't think that's cool at all. I'm not with that at all. But I just don't like the whole Cassie thing, how she's trying to come off as an angel, like she's totally innocent. At one point, maybe she was a victim. But at other points, Cassie was very much a rider. She was very much Diddy's Bonnie. You know what I'm saying? She was very much involved. She made phone calls to these sex workers when Diddy didn't even know she was making the phone calls. She said that, hey, I was just trying to do something for his birthday. I was trying to make him happy. So, but we're supposed to believe that he forced her into all of these activities and that she didn't enjoy any of this stuff at all for 10 years. That's his main chick, is Diddy. He can get girls all over the world, but he gonna take this one particular girl and force her for 10 years to have sex with strangers. I'm not buying it, fam. It doesn't sound plausible to me. Then when you consider the fact that Cassie is acting like she is such a victim, she's so afraid of Diddy, but she didn't sound too afraid when she was on the phone talking to that dude who was once her friend, and she was telling that dude, you better give me these damn files, you better give me whatever video evidence you got, or I'm gonna kill you, I'll have you killed, and I'll have you chopped up. That was sweet little Cassie talking about killing somebody. But oh, they don't want to talk about that. They kind of just swept that right on under the rug. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it, fam. And then she said, I had to move my family. How you moved your family? With Diddy's money. Makes her husband sound kind of weak to me. I had to move my family. She said she moved her family out of New York. And then she talked about the judge showing some strength like the witnesses did in the trial. Did y'all catch that? I'm not a fan of Cassie Ventura, fam. I'm just not a fan of hers because I've seen women who play the game like that and they're all in until the shit hit the fan. And now they want to distance themselves and they play the complete victim. Like they had nothing at all to gain. Like they had no power whatsoever. And as we heard in court testimony, and for many other people, Cassie was a shot caller. She wasn't just some innocent little docile chick just sitting back off in the cut, waiting for instructions. But what say you, fam? Drop a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. No more talk.